So good morning. It's Thursday morning, and it's getting cold and windy. And as you can see, my furnace room here has no firewood in it. But we're going to change that this morning. It's been some windy here for the past week. It's been cold, but windy is an understatement. But it's a normal thing here coming to the end of November by the ocean. So I do have some firewood outside, and I did bring in a little bit to keep my house warm. But I wanted to make a little video on how I heat my home and how I do my firewood. So I've just about finished my firewood outside there with my new split fire log splitter, and I've got half-cord racks of firewood, quite dry. And I'll bring them with my tractor and pallet jack them in the furnace room here. So the way I heat my home is I have a wood boiler. It's an indoor wood boiler in my garage here. And I bring all my firewood in here, and it's nice and warm in here. And I pallet jack it inside, so I only, handle the wood pretty much. Every block, I split it and I put it on that rack. As you saw, if you look in previous videos, you'll see that. So I do that, and then I pallet jack it in here, and then from the rack in the furnace. So I have an indoor boiler, and it's piped underground and goes into my house. So I really enjoy the system. I've always wanted a system like that. There's no mess in the house. There's no smoke. There's no chimney. There's no dust, and there's no real fire danger because my furnace is in my garage here. I have it piped outside, and I lose no heat because I have a really efficient pipe there that goes underground into the house. So I'll show you that system and how it works. But first, we're going to get a couple of pallets of firewood in here and see how that works out. So I have my tractor back in operation. After about a couple of weeks of it being down, I was waiting for a bushing there for the front hub assembly. There's two seals there where the wheels turn. They're called floating seals, and because the bushing was worn, the front hub assembly was kind of tilted to a side, so I was losing my differential fluid. It's quite common on all tractors. So we took that apart, and I got the pieces back, and I put the bushing back, and we reinstalled that piece a few days ago, and the tractor's back on the go, and no oil leak. And man, am I glad to have this tractor back on the go. I tell you, I get cranky and depressed when my tractor's down. I can't do anything. If it's down, that means it's in the garage, and you can't move stuff around in the garage because the tractor's in the way. You can't move the tractor because it's broken down. It's waiting for parts. It doesn't happen too often, but anyway, without a tractor, I tell you, I can't do anything. I've said that in videos before. My tractor's like my work partner here in the yard. So we're going to get a half cord of firewood here in the field. I'll show you. I've got a bunch here. I've got one there, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got another one over there. And they've been drying, and it's been awesome weather to have that wood dry. We haven't had any rain, and we've had a lot of wind. As you can tell by the bay, it's pretty windy. This is an old pallet jack that I built out of 2 old pallet jacks from a scrapyard. I've had it for a long time. Does the trick. Up we go. Pallet jacks are great, eh? You could just turn anything on a dime in through here. This is a tight fit, but if I get it in just the right way, it'll be good to go. I had built a little shelf over to my right for my cordless drill. I had to take it apart again. There's a little lip there that the wheels have to go over. Has to come in quite square. There we go. If it's over to one side, not the other, won't work. Anyway, here we go. It's tight, but this pallet jack, like I said, it's great because you can turn this whole half cord around. Like so. This will be pallet number 2. The end of the garage here. I wouldn't want to guess how heavy one of these half cords is. I know it's heavy. And it's seasoned wood. Green would be even heavier. Last time I did this was last fall. There's enough room for 2 pallets there, so a little bit of wiggling around. Here we go. That should go in. There's pallet number 2. That's 1 full cord of wood. So when I come in to stoke the furnace, I come in through this door. And, you know, I just come in through this door and my furnace is here. I've always got a stack of firewood beside it on a small cart. And I fire it like that. So this is a Benjamin. I think it's an 1100. They're made here locally in Nova Scotia, and they're a really good furnace. Boiler, furnace. Some people call it a furnace. Some people call it a boiler. It is a wood boiler. And I've got it here on a metal stand so that it's a little higher off the ground. I can just shove my wood into it. My chimney's here. All my circulators on the wall here. And because it's a wood boiler, I have a dump, what's called a dump zone. So if the furnace overheats, it goes through another system here into some pipes, and I have a cast iron radiator beside the camera there. And it dumps in there and it'll cool the furnace if it's too warm. So right now my furnace water temperature is 170 degrees. My draft is closed, as you can see by the chain here. It's kind of loose. And what I did, I have a small, I don't know if you can see it there. I have a small camera that's viewing the water temperature gauge. So at any time, if I'm sitting at home or even if I'm away from the house, I can open up my app for this little camera. And it's just a little, it's called a Genie. I think the brand of it is. You can get them at Canadian Tire. Just a little Wi-Fi camera. I can open up my app on my telephone. I can look at the water temperature of my boiler. So I can tell if my you know, if it's in need of more wood or if it's good to go. So I can be sitting on my sofa in the house, and instead of coming outside and checking, I can just open up my phone and I can look at what my water temperature is, and that tells me if I need to fire it up, leave it alone, or what's going on with it. So that's a really, I mean, that's a game changer, really, since the furnace is outdoors. It's not outdoors, it is in the shop, but it's not in my house. So I don't have to go anywhere to check the furnace temperature. This is an indoor wood boiler, by the way. It's not an outdoor wood boiler. Um, Originally, years and years ago, when they came out with those outdoor wood boilers, that's what I had planned to put in my home, but I had seen other people with this type of setup with a furnace inside of a warm place in a garage or an outbuilding piped into their house. And so I wanted that more than an outdoor wood boiler. Those outdoor wood boilers are okay, but they're not very efficient. I think they're getting better. But you just warp the wood to those. I mean, I heard of horror stories from people burning, 30 cord of wood a year and stuff to heat their home. And holy moly, that was, I mean, I have a lot of firewood, but that's a lot of firewood to handle. Yeah, so indoor wood boiler, and it's a Benjamin wood boiler. Actually, a Model 180 wood-fired boiler. As you can see there, the Benjamin. So, hot water, the cool water comes in the boiler like this, and then it goes out the top hot. There's an expansion valve. That's my expansion tank over there. And it goes out through a couple of circulators, and it comes out to these pipes. I think that guy comes in. If I'm not, yeah, this guy comes in. So the hot water goes out this 1-inch pipe here, in the ground, outside, actually underneath the pool, into my house. This pipe here, and then comes back, cooler water comes back in. So this pipe is, I think it's like a 5-inch pipe, but there's insulation in this pipe. It's like a styrofoam, like a foam, like a blown-in foam thing. I bought this pipe pre-made. It comes with the pipes inside and everything. That pipe that goes underground, that special pipe, and it's insulated. And by the time that hot water gets into my house there, it's I don't lose any heat. The water is just as hot when it gets to the house as it is here. I've heard of people trying to make their own pipes with insulation and bury it in the ground, and in the middle of winter they look on top of the ground and the snow's melted. Wow, that's where you're losing all your heat, right? But this works really well. Here's my little camera. If you can see here, it's just called a Genie, small camera, and it's pointing at the gauge to see the temperature of the furnace. So all my life, bringing in, when we were younger, and even, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, bringing in the firewood every fall was a chore, and it was no fun. It meant going in the woods, processing the firewood, stacking it block by block in a dump trailer, bringing it out here, dumping it in front of the garage, carting it with a small cart, block by block again in the garage, stack it again in the garage. And when we were younger, it meant doing that same thing, you know, processing it in the woods, stacking it in a cart because you want to get as much as you can, driving it with a tractor and a wagon back at the house, dumping it on the ground or hand bombing it on the ground, stacking it to dry, throwing it down a slider down into the basement of my parents' house or my grandmother's house or the house that's the way I used to do it here. Stack it again in the basement. I mean, it was endless, so it wasn't fun. But this is fun. Like with my new wood splitting machine and being able to go out and grab a half a cord at a time like that, and you know, I'm just driving my tractor and putting it in the shop like that and wheeling it, and then it's done, and from there it just goes in the furnace. It's really fun. So now when it's time to bring the firewood inside, it's quite enjoyable, eh? It's not like it used to be. Couple of sticks in the furnace. Not quite as pleasant as my buddy Dave there in his basement, but it's good heat. There we go. So that's it for a little while before I process some more. So I've got 8 racks in here, which is 4 cords of wood. I still have 8, 10, 12. I still have 3 or 4 racks in the back that I'm going to process and rotate dry wood with the stuff I'll process and bring in. But for now, that'll keep me going for quite a while. Yeah, so now we're going to put this wall up. It'll be nice and warm in here. See if we can slide this wall. I've got it so that it fits quite tight. And it's just a matter of sliding it into its slot here. Couple of extension cords in the way here. Here we go. It's almost in. Fits in the hole. Turn the little knob. Open the man door. And here we go. Yeah, so as you can see, a little door, in we come, and there you are. See, I got some styrofoam here, and then I've got one small man door that I can open, or I've got I can open clips and I can open that door a little wider if I want to get something in here. But I've got a little kitty door as well. I've got my cat lives in here when in the winter time. So yeah, that closes up the furnace room. We've got all our wood pallets in. Fire in the furnace. Get some good heat. Gauge is coming up. Yeah, so 4 cord in here. That's a pretty satisfied feeling. Now that it's getting cold, my firewood's in. I can process the rest of what I have in the back there. It'll get nice and warm in here. I still have room for. Gee whiz, I still have room. 1, 2, 3. I still have room for 2 or 3 firewood racks, but it would be pretty full in here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn a valve on and get some heat in here into my dump zone. I'll open it up and get that cast iron radiator there going. And I'm sure there's a little bit of moisture left in the wood. And that'll get this room nice and warm and the firewood in here nice and warm over the next few days. I'll turn my dehumidifier on and it'll dry that wood, finish seasoning it pretty well. And within a month, I mean, that pallet is the first one I processed midsummer-ish, so it's pretty dry, pretty seasoned, I should say, and that'll burn fine. I tested it today with the moisture meter, and it reads like 14% all around, like the ends and the sides, and then I split one and I tested it inside, and it was like 24 to 26%, which isn't too bad actually, but like I said at the beginning of the video, we've had no rain. The little bit of rain we had hasn't dampened this firewood at all. It's been windy all week, so it's been excellent firewood drying weather. We actually last Saturday, I'm a volunteer firefighter. We had a forest fire last Saturday. While we were fighting the forest fire, it was snow hailing. Never seen that. I have never seen that before, but it's really dry. It's quite dry for the time of the season. So bad in one way, you have to be careful, but in another way, for drying firewood at the last minute, just before firewood season starts, it's good weather for that. So yeah, there we go. Now I'm going to take you in the basement and show you the second part of this furnace system.